We're back home after 2.5 weeks on the road, where we got to ride some of the best mountains and bike parks in Europe. Now you might think that after a trip like that, returning home, you'd have some serious holiday blues, but luckily for me that wasn't the case, because upon arrival I found out that Haibike had sent me a brand new e-bike. But this isn't just any bike, it's probably going to be the best bike that I've ever owned. Behind me here in my library of bicycles is a brand new Haibike LYKE 11, which is a lightweight electric mountain bike. And when I was at the Haibike headquarters recently, I got the opportunity to take one of these bikes out for a ride, and I was absolutely blown away by the capabilities of it. My one is a bit buried back there, so I'm going to get it out of the racks now, because that's what we're going to be riding today. But before we do that, I've got some upgrades for it. Every time I look at this bike, I can't believe how cool it looks, because it just doesn't look like an e-bike. I really like e-bikes that look like e-bikes. For example, the Haibike Mountain, which is what I normally ride, is everything when you think of an e-bike. That's what it should look like, and that's what it should be. And they're powerful and they're big and they are awesome. But this is different. It's not necessarily better, but it's different. And for me and for Haibike, this is new. And I think with the LYKE, Haibike have absolutely knock the ball out of the park. It's insane. I'll run through the stats and the power of the motor and the battery and everything once the bike is all together, but right now I've got some halo wheels that need fitting with some custom decals. So there we have it, the new wheels are now fitted to the bike and the Halo Vortex are looking amazing. 29-inch front and rear, which is a size that I've never actually owned. So we've got some wagon wheels on this bike. And the oil slick graphics are also looking absolutely incredible. The hub's got 120 points of engagement, so not only does it sound good, but with the e-bike and the increased torque, you're never ever gonna slip. And speaking of slipping, I've got Schwalbe Hands Damp tyres, 2.35, so again slightly narrower, and I like that because it goes with the whole theme of the lightweight e-bike. But we're not done upgrading yet, because in this box here I have some gusset components. We've got some new bars here which are ready to go on, and we've got seat, pedals, stem, loads of things. So I think we should carry on upgrading. Bars and stem are fitted, and it's nice to have some familiar bars up front. On all of my bikes I run the gusset S2 bars with the S2 stem and the S2 soft compound grip. Now these bars are 35mm wide here with a 33mm each stem, but I actually normally run 20mm rise. However, on this bike I remember riding it in Germany and thinking the front felt quite low, so I've actually gone for a 30mm rise bar there just to sort of lift the front up. It could be the fact the bike's 140mm travel, so everything's a bit lower, but certainly for changing from jump bike, the other e-bike, the All Mountain, this one, having a familiar handlebar setup just makes that switch so much easier. I've decided to go for the gusset merge pedals, which normally I'd run the S2, which are aluminium, but on my jump bike I run a nylon pedal, and I decided that would be really cool to try that on the e-bike, but with metal pins. So this is the merge. There's actually 25% off on the website on this pedal, so if you fancy giving these a try too, head on over, get yourself a deal, save some money, and have the grippiest, most comfortable pedals in the game. Look at how incredible this bike build is. I'm honestly so stoked with it. It is probably the best bike that I have ever owned. And before we go riding on it, I do want to give you guys some information about the frame, the power unit, the battery, and just the bike in general. So I think it's time that we leave the workshop, take a closer look at this before shredding it. We have finally made it out onto the trails, and my new bike is ready for its very first ride. Now the frame on this bike is a Haibike LYKE 11. Frame's carbon fibre, so it's helping keep that weight down, and it is a size medium, which I actually normally run a small frame, but in this bike the medium fits me absolutely perfect. The battery on this bike is hidden within the frame, and that is a 430 watt-hour battery powering the Fazua Ride 60 motor, pumping out 60 Newton meters of torque, so plenty of power. And what I find crazy is the first Haibikes I started riding about 5 years ago had the battery on the outside, which was 500 watt-hour, and the motor gave out about 75 Newton meters of torque, if I remember correctly. And what they've done in 5 years is they've taken that technology and they've condensed it into a bike that is as tidy looking and as clean as what the LYKE is. The bike has 140 millimeters of travel front and rear, so actually slightly smaller than what I'm used to on the e-bike, but I think that helps to make the bike nice and playful, and to help with those big hits it's running 29-inch wheels front and rear, so it kind of balances it out there. And I'm going to be interested to see how this bike handles on some of the bigger, more gnarly bike park features, which is exciting because that is part of the experiment with the LYKE. We're at Twisted Oaks Bike Park today. It's one of my favourite local places to ride because it kind of caters for everything, certainly a perfect test for the LYKE. And the first thing that I'm going to test it out on, there's a log over there and it's super narrow, and I think it's the perfect challenge for this bike. This is the first challenge on my LYKE then, and look at how skinny that is. I'm going to have to be so precise, and it's actually quite long, so we could be here a while, or the bike might be magic and it might work quick, so let's give it a try. Pop a nice little wheelie in then. It's a bit windy today, so balance could be affected. Oh my god. Yes! Here we go then, I've got a little move for you. Check this one out for some agility. Oh, look at that. That was sick. Actually crazy that you can pivot an e-bike on the spot, but we've got all these amazing trails here at Twisted Oaks, so let's go hit some of them. It's actually so windy here today, but we're going to hit Badger because that's one of my favourite lines. First 2 runs on the LYKE in the bag, and the bike is feeling absolutely incredible. You could actually do tuck no-handers and tricks on it, which is really cool because normally it's easier to do suicide no-handers on the big bike. The tuck no-hander's a bit more awkward to get into that position, but not a problem for this bike. It is annoyingly a little bit windy, meaning the dirt jumps and the mulch jump, which I wanted to hit, are not really going to work, but we have this tree behind me, which I rode in a previous video. Sam then rode it, and I've now come back to ride it, so it's getting plenty of coverage. It'll probably be sponsored soon, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to hit it.
Oh my word, Miles.
That was sick. The bike's got 4 power modes, and I was in, actually it's got 5. It's got a secret one which I'm going to show you guys in a minute. I was in turbo pedaling uphill, and I remember that this bike is so good at fakies. It's just actually an ultimate jib machine, but I want to do some flips and some other tricks, so I think we're going to spin from Twisted Oaks to the Tompound. We're back at the Tompound, and after all of the sick places that we stopped at on the road trip, as I walked across the compound, the Tompound, there was an excitement within me to be back here, which is actually sick because I haven't had that about riding at home for such a long time. It could also be to do with the fact that I get to hit the jump on my new favourite bike. At Twisted Oaks we managed to do a tuck no-hander mid-trail, so I'm going to start things off with a suicide no-hander on the mulch jump. It's actually crazy. This bike handles just like a jump bike. I'm going to do a big no foot cam, but not like a 2 feet together. I want to go full moto with the Indian Air. That actually felt incredible. It was like a real motocross style right there on that Indian Air. Everything's shaping up and we're almost ready to give a backflip a try. Normally I find e-bikes really scary to flip because of the weight, and it just scares me that if you was to bail, you've got that heavy bike above you which is going to come down and hit you. But I'm not really feeling that with this, and when I'm practicing lifting the front wheel up on the roll in here, I'm getting a real good feeling from it. Yeah, that's feeling really good. I've locked the suspension out so I can get that extra pop. I just need to remember it's a 29-inch wheel, so don't sit on it, because instead of a backflip that would send me into an accidental front flip, and we don't want to be doing any of those. I guess now it's time just to give it a try. Yes, that was so sick. I've never flipped 29-inch wheels before, and I was genuinely quite worried because a minute ago when I was saying about sitting on the wheel, like that could happen and it would be a massive crash. So that was in my mind. I think there's so many tricks you could do on this, and I think at some point I'm going to do a full video focused on just doing freestyle tricks as another experiment. But for now, we're going to leave the compound, sadly, and it's time to go do some trials and show you guys the secret mode that's built into the Like. We've made our way to the next location, which is quite noisy, but it's a sick trials line, so I'm just going to get on with it so you don't get deafened by the noise of traffic. Oh. It was so perfect and I messed it up.
Yeah!
Yes! That was sick. Let's move on. That trials line was absolutely perfect on this bike. But all video, I've been saying that there's a special mode which I want to show you guys. And if you hold up this button here, which is what lets you cycle through the modes, you'll see that the lights here are now flashing. And what that means is it's in like a super turbo mode. It doesn't mean it goes faster than the speed limit, which is 15 miles an hour, but what it does mean is for about a minute or so, it gives you an extra boost of power. Now what I want to do with that extra boost of power is wheelie up the stairs. I only just learnt this recently on my all mountain, which is a much more powerful system. So I'm going to be interested to see in this power mode if that can work. Turbo mode's engaged. Let's see if we can do it. Cool balance. Oh. I think I need a bit more momentum.
Oh. Yes, yes. Oh. Yo! He's off.
Yeah, nice. It actually went up there easy. Like, wheeling upstairs isn't an easy thing to do, and it's windy today, so I kept getting blown to the side. With that power mode engaged, it's actually so much difference between the turbo and like the extra turbo mode, which allows you to do cool stuff like that. So there we have it. I've finally got my Haibike LYKE, and I've got a feeling that you guys are going to be seeing a lot of this bike on the channel because I'm absolutely in love with it. Let me know what you think we should test on it. I mean, I know loads of you are probably curious about battery life and the power the motor has. Today's video has been more about just getting out riding it, and I think what we have shown is how versatile it is, but it'd be cool to go to some bike parks, some bigger features and test the suspension out, and some longer rides so we can test the power unit and the battery life. But unfortunately, that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give us a thumbs up leave your comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one.
I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a